All right, guys, what's up? Matt here from Loon, and today in the vise we have a Foley Mills FM 5125. Pretty cool jig hook. The eye is, instead of being this way, turn this way, so you can jam larger beads on and get much nastier and heavier. This is a size 12 with a 3.8 mil bead, copper in color. Thread today is going to be Vivus 50D, and kind of I hold the bead in the place that I want it to live, and kind of just create that perfect ice cream cone taper. Also helps just to hold the bead and allow you to better understand where your fly is going to start and finish and look overall. So I just began just somewhat touching turns haphazardly, running down the back there. And we're going to go ahead and throw in our tail, which is going to be these Wild Turkey Biots. I believe this is like a yellow color. You could call it Golden Stone or whatever you want. Make sure to cut it all the way. And you'll notice there's a natural curvature to the feather there. What I like to do is to get them to splay out is I oppose those feathers. So you kind of get this set up. That just kind of allows you to get that tail split really easy. And the way I describe it, if you're looking at the fly from the front, top of the fly being 12 o'clock and looking at it like a clock, these are going to go at the 3 and 9 position. So what I'll do is I kind of pinch them on either side there. I take a loose wrap, which is really just my securing wrap. I ensure they're kind of where I want them to be. And at this point, you can really manipulate these and do whatever you want with it, and then I'll just go ahead and secure that in. And you can wrap as far up as you'd like to make your life easier. You don't have to. They're not really going to go anywhere. So now that I've kind of thoroughly compressed these down, I don't mind them being compressed out, but you can see the way they end up is being split perfectly in the back. This is actually kind of a funny thread. This is a uni thread in brown. It is a size 3/0. It reminds me more of floss than a thread in any capacity. And it's rather fuzzy, but it's pretty cool. So what I do is I take about a 8 to 12 inch section, just depends on how big your fly is, and I'm going to start and just kind of tack that in. And next up, I'm going to take some super floss. This one is like a golden stone color. Really, it's just a cool, deep, rich, ambery yellow. So I'll go ahead and tie that in. So with this one, what I want to do, because it does have a tendency to get bulky, you'll notice I leave the strands of thread loose. This, I'm going to go ahead and pull tension on. And then once you get towards the end, you can pull tension on both. So we'll put that in there. And the reason that I leave this so long is because I want them to somewhat meet here and become kind of a singular filament, if you will. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and clip this into my Gator Grip Dubbing Spinner. And you're going to have to figure out where your tension point is, because you have one dynamic fiber and one non-dynamic fiber. So they kind of don't want to play perfectly well together. Sometimes when you're doing this, I'll take a second bite. Just depends on your thread. And what I'll do is I spin this up, and you kind of get this really cool golden stone candy cane. A buddy of mine, Morgan, did this on a fly called a Tiny Dancer. And you're just going to get this really random kind of variant yellow and brown operation there. And you get a lot of ribbing out of it as an effect. And we'll go ahead and wrap this forward and back just to secure it in place. So next up, what I do is I take kind of my excess rubbery legs from my body material, and I just kind of fold it into like a U shape. You want to make sure you get all the twists out of there, so it's going to lay nice and flat. So if you see, Super Floss at the store, you don't want to get the stuff that's, crinkly. You want those nice straight legs so you can manipulate them and get them to do what you want. Oops. So again, I'll just get this in at the 9 and 3 position here. And I want these back legs. This is not going to be anatomically correct. I found out recently, trout's IQs are much lower than we originally expected, so they do not actually know how to count. So it doesn't matter because they can't count to 6. So if the bug has 4 legs or 6 legs, they don't really know. So we'll go there, and we're going to take just a pinch of UV brown ice dub. This is the ICE 40. A lot of people think it's purple, but it's actually probably one of the best brown colors on the planet. So I just put in a real thin little wrap there. And I want a little bit of bugginess behind the front of this fly. So what I'm going to do is, ice dub comes at like one predetermined length. And that's pretty good and all, but I want to shorten it up so it's a little bit more stubby and spiky. You can do this by ripping it, or you can cut it personally. Just is up to you. And the next thing I do is, this kind of gets messy, but not all CDC is perfect or created equal. So what I like to do is kind of go through my CDC, figure out which one I want to work with. And I'm looking for one with pretty good width and symmetry here. And you can use really creative feather folding devices and all of this stuff. But what I've found is that you can also just use the D-loop tweezers to kind of get this prepped for your adventure. And I'll show you guys how to do that. So from here, what I do is, now that I kind of have my prep work done, again, I pull long dubbing loops so that the tool can rest, on the bench and not slide all over the place. Hence the shape, so it doesn't roll away. It sits perfectly up against the bench surface. And what I'll do is I'll take my first bit of ice dub here, and I'm just going to kind of slide that in. You can see it already wants to start spinning on you. And from there, what I'll do is I can just slide up and in my actual CDC feather. Now at this point, you want to hold quite a bit of tension, and you're just going to come in and you can cut all of that off. So it's one tool that's going to do a stack of different variable jobs. Kind of spin this. And you can see you're getting this really thin cord soft hackle material. I do this a lot with like my partridge feathers. And again, with the Vivus 50D, you don't have any major slip out or anything like that. And I'm just going to spin this to a level of ridiculousness because I don't really care that or think that the thread's ever going to break. This just creates a super awesome little thorax section here. And then from there, you can just kind of come in and finish with palmerine in your CDC collar. I'll drop that in front. I do a few spinning wraps. And I'll take the whole operation and get ready for a whip finish here. And then you can really just kind of wrench that down. Good to go from there. And now all of my legs, I just kind of lift them up to create really good symmetry, not under a lot of tension. And you just have this little buggy creature nymph that you can hit with a little bit of flow inside the bead, lock down everything. And there you go. You kind of have the way that the twist typically ends up is you'll have a lighter bottom, darker on one side. It's the luck of the draw. But bugs roll down the river, and so do flies with 3.8 tungsten beads on them as well. So that's just a really quick little golden stonefly using some different techniques.